There are moments in life when you do everything you know to do, yet nothing seems to make sense. You pray, you wait, you hope, and you ask God for an answer. But the door remains closed. The situation does not change. The breakthrough you expected does not come when you thought it would. And in those quiet moments, fear begins to whisper, what if it never gets better? But God is reminding you today, just trust me. You may not understand what I am doing, but you can trust who I am. You may not see the road ahead, but I already see the destination. You may only see the problem in front of you, but God sees the entire picture. What looks like a delay to you may be preparation in His hands. What feels like rejection may be protection. What seems like an ending may be the beginning of something you could never have planned for yourself. Trusting God does not mean that you will never feel afraid. It means that when fear comes, you choose faith instead. It means you can say, Lord, I don't understand this, but I believe you are still working. That kind of trust is powerful because it does not depend on circumstances. Your circumstances can change every day, but God's character does not change. Perhaps you have been carrying something that God never asked you to carry. You have been trying to figure out every detail, control every outcome, and predict what tomorrow will bring. You have been replaying conversations, worrying about finances, wondering about relationships, questioning your future, and asking yourself how everything will work out. But God is saying you do not have to know everything. You only have to trust me. There will be seasons in your life when you cannot see where the road is leading. You may stand at a crossroads with questions filling your mind and uncertainty surrounding your future. You may pray for direction, yet the answer does not come in the way you expected. You may look at your circumstances and wonder how anything could possibly change. These moments can make you feel anxious, impatient, and afraid, but they can also become some of the deepest moments of faith in your life. When you cannot see the way, you are invited to trust the one who can. God does not ask you to understand everything before you trust Him. He does not require you to have every detail figured out before taking the next step. Sometimes He gives you enough light for today without showing you the entire journey. Think about walking at night with a flashlight. You may not see the entire road, but you can see enough to take the next few steps. Faith works in much the same way. God may not reveal your entire future, but He can give you enough guidance for where you are right now. Your greatest struggle may not be the situation itself. It may be your desire to know exactly how everything will work out. You want the answer before you move. You want certainty before you trust. You want proof before you believe. Yet God often develops faith by asking you to move forward before you can see the complete picture. This does not mean acting recklessly or ignoring wisdom. It means refusing to let uncertainty become stronger than your confidence in God. There are things happening behind the scenes that you cannot see. While you are waiting, God can be preparing opportunities, changing circumstances, developing your character, and positioning people and resources you have not encountered yet. A closed door may be preventing you from walking into something that would have harmed you. A delay may be protecting you from receiving something before you are ready. A season of waiting may be preparing you for a responsibility you cannot yet imagine. Do not assume that nothing is happening simply because you cannot see anything happening. Seeds grow beneath the soil long before they become visible above the ground. In the same way, some of God's greatest work in your life may happen quietly. Your responsibility is not to uncover everything happening beneath the surface. Your responsibility is to remain faithful where you are. Perhaps you are worried about your future right now. You may not know how your finances will improve, how a relationship will turn out, where your next opportunity will come from, or what your next chapter will look like. Your mind may be creating one frightening scenario after another. But worrying about an unknown future cannot give you control over it. It only steals strength from the present moment. Bring those fears to God. Tell Him exactly what concerns you. You do not have to hide your uncertainty behind religious words. You can come honestly and say, God, I don't know what is going to happen. I am afraid, but I choose to trust you. There is tremendous strength in that simple decision. Trust does not mean that you will never have questions. You can have questions and still have faith. You can feel nervous and still move forward. You can cry and still believe. You can admit that you do not understand and still know that God is faithful. Faith is not the absence of emotion. Faith is choosing where you will place your confidence when emotions become overwhelming. Stop measuring God's presence by the speed of your circumstances. Just because the answer has not arrived does not mean God has forgotten you. Just because the door is not opened does not mean it will never open. Just because your path looks different from everyone else's does not mean you are behind. Your journey has its own timing, and comparing it to another person's journey can make you question what God is doing in your own life. Sometimes the greatest step of faith is simply taking today's responsibility seriously. Pray today, work today, forgive today, Be faithful today. Make the wise decision today. Encourage someone today. Take care of what God has already placed in your hands today. You do not need to solve your entire life in one day. When you cannot see the way, remember that God can. When you cannot understand the timing, remember that God sees beyond the moment. When you feel lost, remember that He is not lost. When you feel uncertain, remember that He is not uncertain. Your limited perspective does not limit His ability to guide you. You may look at your life and see confusion, but God can see purpose. You may see an empty space while He sees room for something new. You may see a delay while He sees preparation. You may see an ending while He sees the beginning of another chapter. Therefore, do not allow what you cannot see to make you doubt what you already know about God's faithfulness. Remember the times He carried you before. Remember the doors He opened. Remember the dangers He helped you avoid. Remember the strength you received when you thought you had none left. Your history with God can become an anchor when your future feels uncertain. Take one step at a time. You do not need the entire map. You need faith for the next step. Keep your heart open, keep your spirit humble, and keep listening for God's direction. The road may not look clear, but you are not walking it alone. When you cannot see the way, trust God anyway. When you cannot see the answer, keep praying anyway. When you cannot see the breakthrough, keep believing anyway. Your inability to see the destination does not mean there is no destination. Sometimes faith means walking forward with confidence that the one leading you knows exactly where you are going. Today, release the pressure to understand everything. Give God the questions you cannot answer. Give Him the plans you cannot control. Give Him the future you cannot predict. Then take the next faithful step in front of you. You may not know what is around the corner, but you can trust that God does. And when you place your unknown future into His hands, you can finally stop living as though everything depends on you. There comes a point in life when you realize that trying to control everything is exhausting you. You want to know when the answer will come, how the situation will change, who will stay, which door will open, and what your future will look like. You want to plan every detail because uncertainty makes you uncomfortable. Yet there are moments when God gently reminds you that you were never meant to control everything. You were meant to trust Him. Sometimes peace begins when you stop trying to force the future and place it completely into God's hands. Surrendering control does not mean becoming passive or giving up on your responsibilities. It means recognizing the difference between what you can influence and what you cannot control. You control your choices, your attitude, your effort, your words, and your willingness to obey what you know is right. But you cannot control another person's heart, tomorrow's circumstances, the timing of every opportunity, or the way every situation unfolds. Trying to control those things only creates frustration. God sees what you cannot see. He knows what is ahead while you are still standing in the present. He understands how today's events connect with tomorrow's opportunities. What you consider a setback may be part of a larger process that you will understand later. What feels like a painful delay may be protecting you from something you are not prepared to handle yet. You may be asking God for something right now and wondering why it has not happened. You have prayed about it repeatedly. You have waited patiently, then impatiently, and perhaps you have even wondered whether God heard you. But waiting does not mean that your prayer has been ignored. Sometimes the answer requires preparation before manifestation. God may be preparing the circumstances, preparing another person, or preparing you. Think about how often you wanted something in the past and later realized that receiving it at that particular moment would not have been good for you. At the time, you may have thought the closed door was a disappointment. Later, you understood that it was protection. This is why God's timing can be difficult to understand while you are living through it. You see the immediate desire. God sees the long-term consequences. Do not allow impatience to convince you that you know better than God. You may have a plan, but God sees beyond your plan. You may have a timeline, but God's wisdom is not limited by your calendar. You may believe something needs to happen immediately, but God knows what must happen first. There is freedom in saying, God, I trust your timing more than my own. That statement may be difficult when you are desperate for an answer, but it can transform the way you experience waiting. Instead of waking up every morning asking, why hasn't it happened yet? You can begin asking, what are you teaching me in this season? That question changes everything. Maybe this season is teaching you patience. Maybe it is teaching you discipline. Maybe it is teaching you to stop depending on people's approval. Maybe it is teaching you to recognize your own worth. Maybe God is using the waiting period to strengthen your faith so that when the opportunity arrives, you will be ready to handle it. Do not waste the waiting. Use this season to grow. Pray more deeply. Develop your character. Become more disciplined. Forgive what needs to be forgiven. Release bitterness. Learn what you need to learn. Prepare yourself for the future instead of constantly worrying about when the future will arrive. Sometimes we ask God to change the situation when He is trying to change our perspective. We ask Him to remove the pressure, but He is teaching us endurance. We ask Him to open a door, but He is teaching us how to become ready for what lies beyond it. We ask for immediate answers, but He is developing something inside us that will remain valuable long after the current problem is gone. Surrender means releasing the demand that everything happen according to your preferred schedule. It means saying, Lord, I have a plan, but I trust your plan more. I have a desire, but I trust your wisdom more. I have a timeline, but I trust your timing more. That does not mean you stop dreaming. It does not mean you stop working toward your goals. It does not mean you stop believing for better things. It means you pursue what is in front of you while remaining open to God's direction. You can work hard without being obsessed with the outcome. You can pray without becoming consumed by the answer. You can pursue an opportunity without believing your entire future depends on it. You can prepare while trusting God with the results. There is a peace that comes when you realize that your future does not rest entirely on your ability to make perfect decisions. God can redirect you. He can close a path when you are heading the wrong way. He can create another opportunity when the first one disappears. He can restore what you thought was permanently lost. He can take a situation that looks impossible and create a path you could not have imagined. So stop forcing what God may be asking you to release. If something is constantly requiring you to compromise your peace, your values, or your relationship with God, step back and seek His direction. Not every open door is a door you are supposed to walk through, and not every closed door is a tragedy. Sometimes you need to let go before you can receive something new. Let go of the need to know exactly when. Let go of the need to understand exactly how. Let go of the fear that everything must happen immediately. Let go of the belief that you have to make everything happen by yourself. Plead your plans before God and allow Him to lead. When you surrender control, you are not losing power. You are exchanging anxiety for trust. You are admitting that God's perspective is greater than yours. You are choosing peace over constant mental struggle. There will still be moments when you feel tempted to take everything back into your own hands. When that happens, pause and remind yourself, God has brought me through before. He knows where I am now. He knows where I am going. I do not have to figure out everything today. Your responsibility is faithfulness. God's responsibility is the outcome. Do what you can. Pray about what you cannot. Work when it is time to work. Wait when it is time to wait. Move when God opens the way. Rest when He tells you to rest. You may not understand why certain things are happening today, but one day you may look back and recognize that the timing was not working against you. It was preparing you. Trust that God knows what you need better than you know what you want. Trust that His delays are not necessarily denials. Trust that His closed doors can be protection. Trust that His timing can be wiser than your urgency. You do not need to force the future into existence. You need to remain faithful in the present. Give God your timeline. Give Him your expectations. Give Him your unanswered questions. Give Him the things you cannot control. Then breathe, keep walking, and allow Him to lead. The moment you stop demanding that life happen exactly according to your plan is often the moment you become available for God's greater plan. You may not know when the breakthrough will come or what form it will take, but you can choose to believe that your life is not outside His care. Surrender is not defeat, it is trust. And sometimes the strongest thing you can say is simply, God, I release this into your hands. I trust you with the timing. I trust you with the outcome. I trust you with my future. So today, surrender the worry, surrender the fear, surrender the need to control the outcome, surrender the question of how, and replace it with one simple declaration. God, I trust you. When you can see, trust Him. When you cannot see, trust Him. When the door opens, trust Him. When the door closes, trust Him. When the answer comes quickly, trust Him. When you have to wait, trust Him. Because your faith was never meant to rest on perfect circumstances. Your faith is meant to rest on a perfect God. And perhaps the miracle you need today is not only a changed situation. Perhaps it is a changed heart. A heart that can stand in uncertainty and still peace. A heart that can face the unknown and still believe. A heart that can say, Lord, I don't know what you are doing, but I know you are good. I don't know where this road leads, but I know you are with me. I don't know how this will work out, but I know you are faithful. Just trust Him. Take the next step. Keep praying. Keep believing. Keep moving forward. Your story is still unfolding. And the God who brought you this far is not going to abandon you now. Just trust me.